The Electoral Commission has released its second quarter political finding disclosure report for the 2024-2025 financial year, covering the period from 1 July to 30 September 2024. The report reveals limited election and campaign activities in South Africa, with one of the lowest reported donations since the introduction of the disclosure requirements in April 2021. IEC Deputy CEO George Mahlangu joins us now via our video link for more on this discussion. George, thank you so much for your time this evening here in SABC News. We've seen the second quarter political party funding, and this is for the period 1 July to 30th of September, with just at least 8 million rand being declared by political parties. Would you say, considering the time frame of this funding, you are not surprised by the amounts you saw?
Good evening to you, your viewers. Yes, Mbali, what we have published for Q2 reflects the second lowest, donations declared since the implementation of the law. And specifically on this 8.5 million that has been declared and published, I think there's a direct correlation between, the elections and, the money that has been declared and disclosed by the political parties. For the fact that it has been, a bit quieter, we have seen, when we compare with the past publications, that in the year after the elections or just before the elections, the donations, will rise up in terms of, the pie chart. But post the elections, the donations will be lower. So the previous donations that were declared were just shy of 200 million. And 8.5 million compared to 200 million, there's a huge difference. So basically, there's little that has been disclosed by the political parties this time around.
And when it comes to that amount that we saw in the previous quarter, and this would have covered the election period, 189 million rand being recorded, what would you say it speaks to, particularly when it comes to running elections in the country?
Clearly, it speaks to those who are donating to the political parties of their choice. And of course, those direct donors probably may, have got some way of influencing what happens in the political party of their choice. The reason why we're saying this, it is because we've got a multi-party democracy fund, which we are expecting that money will be contributed into the fund and to fund all the political parties that are represented in all the legislative houses. Unfortunately, this quarter, the multi-party democracy fund has seen just above 1,600 rands or so, which is basically an outcry. So the huge amount of donations just before the elections reflect some form of influence, but we are glad that we know who are these individuals that have got interest in donating directly into the coffers of the political parties instead of contributing into the multi-party democracy fund.
And when you look at, political funding and looking at the second quarter being 8 million rand in contrast to 189 million rand, what would you say political party funding plays? What role does it play when it comes to elections?
Look, the public out there has got various comments about this legislation. As we speak, recently there was a public participation around the thresholds. And what has been, submitted by various, interested parties is that, donors are stepping back because they do not want, their identity to be known. Therefore, we must get rid of, the provision that provides for the donors to declare who they are. but that would be, direct against, the reason or the cornerstone of this legislation, because this law seeks to provide transparency so that, the voters, when they go and vote, they must know who is funded, they must know who funds, particular political parties.
Yeah.
And they must watch against the political party that would be in power, whether they will be in favor of those who, donated directly instead of contributing to the multi-party democracy fund.
Yeah. And would you say, as the IEC, that, these trends will be with us for quite some time, and we can see them resurface again as we head to the local government elections?
Yes, we are expecting donations to increase, direct donations to increase towards the local government elections. But also, there are, talks in the country that is this legislation meeting, the objectives of what it has set up for. So we may see amendments in not so distant future. Now that, there's an electoral reform, this electoral reform may affect, political party funding legislation. So we do not know whether the law will stay as is in the near future.
All right. And before I let you go, next week as the IEC, you'll be in charge of the Thabazimbi by-elections. How prepared are you for those elections?
We are prepared and ready to conduct free and fair elections, Mbali. Just to give a little background to your viewers, the municipality was dissolved in August 2024. And that dissolution resulted to the creation of the by-election. Now, what is going to happen on the 4th of December, there's going to be a by-election that is going to find a way of, bringing back, the political activity in that municipality. So basically, that municipality comprises of 12 wards, and 12 wards will result into 24 seats. So 12 seats would be the ward councillors, and another 12 seats will be PR. So after those elections, we'll have those seats, filled by either independent candidates and a representative from various political parties.
All right, George, thank you so much for your time. That is George Mahlangu. He is the IEC Deputy CEO, giving us his insight there when it comes to that political funding report for the second quarter, but as well as touching on the work that the IEC still needs to do next week when it holds by-elections in Limpopo in the Thabazimbi municipality.